Ishaq Dar concluded a groundbreaking two-day official visit to Dhaka on August 24. This was the first visit by a Pakistani foreign minister in 13 long years, which aimed to strengthen bilateral ties between the two countries. The visit has already created an uproar in the Indian media, but the adverse Indian reaction should not be taken as a surprise. It was expected. The growing ties between Pakistan and Bangladesh since the oust of Hasina Wajid government in August 24 have shifted the regional dynamics and remains a cause of concern for New Delhi and the hawkish Indian media. But before we analyze the growing unease in India about normalization of relationship between Islamabad and Dhaka, let's first review what transpired during Dar's Bangladesh visit. The Pakistani foreign minister, who also holds the portfolio of deputy prime minister, held discussions with Bangladesh chief advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus, foreign affairs advisor Muhammad Tawheed Hussain, and commerce advisor S.K. Bashiruddin. The talks covered bilateral relations, trade, and regional issues, including the possible revival of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation (SAARC). Dar also met with leaders of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the Jamaat Islami, and the National Citizen Party, emphasizing the need of cultural exchanges, youth engagement, and political cooperation. During the visit, 6 MOUs were signed. These MOUs covered visa exemption for diplomatic passport holders, cultural exchanges, foreign service academy cooperation, formation of trade and investment groups, strategic studies, and state news agency cooperation. Additional MOUs on quality control and agriculture research remain under discussion. Dar emphasized boosting trade to $1 billion from the current $865 million recorded in financial year 2025. Discussions also included forming a trade and investment commission and reviving the Bangladesh-Pakistan Joint Economic Commission. Mohammad Yunus was quoted as saying that the vision of the two countries stand aligned and SAARC remains the top priority for both the countries. The Bangladeshi leader also said that the economies of the two countries complement one another. Now, what's the context and significance of this visit? This is an important question. The visit reflects a thaw in Pakistan-Bangladesh relations that remained strained all through the 15-year rule of Hasina Wajid Sahiba from 2009 to 2024. Hasina Wajid was too close to New Delhi, and to the dismay of majority of Bangladeshis, she acted just as an Indian proxy. Hasina Wajid also remained hostage to the past. She used the 1971 civil war between former West Pakistan and East Pakistan that led to the creation of Bangladesh as an excuse to fan hate against Islamabad and to target and victimize her political opponents. Some of those pro-Pakistan activists and leaders of yesteryears were tried decades after Bangladesh won freedom and even hanged to death. But the interim government under Muhammad Yunus moved quickly to rebuild ties with Pakistan and opened the doors of greater people-to-people contact and trade and economic cooperation. According to diplomatic sources, Ishaq Dar's visit marks a pivotal step in resetting Pakistan-Bangladesh relations, leveraging the post-Hasina political shift. The signing of several MOUs and focus on trade signal mutual interest in deeper cooperation on the diplomatic, economic, and cultural fronts. However, issues related to the 1971 civil war remains unresolved. Dhaka says that the unresolved issues include a formal apology from Pakistan for the alleged atrocities it committed in 1971 and the repatriation of stranded Pakistanis. Dhaka also demands from Islamabad its share of assets worth $4.5 billion in the pre-1971 Pakistan. During the interactions with Bangladeshi media, Dar emphasized that these issues were settled in 1974 and then again in early 2000 when President Pervez Musharraf visited Dhaka. But later, the Bangladeshi foreign advisor Tawheed Hussain said they remain on the table. Despite such irritants, the two countries have decided to move forward, underscoring a strategic realignment in South Asia. This will have regional implications and likely to revitalize SAARC. Now coming to the Indian concerns. While there has been no official reaction from the Indian Ministry of External Affairs so far, Indian media has reported, quoting sources, that New Delhi closely monitored Dar's visit, particularly the signing of 6 MOUs and amid growing concerns. According to the Indian media, the Indian intelligence agencies have concerns on 3 fronts. First, they fear that an increased Pakistan-Bangladesh closeness would further fuel anti-India sentiment. Second, they see risk to their security along India's eastern frontier. And the third is the revival of SAARC, which could dilute and further erode India's influence in South Asia. But aren't all these fears stem from India's own policies, especially its hegemonistic designs and the way it is treating its Muslim minority? Indians should look inward rather than blaming others. Why should India see the bilateral cooperation between two regional countries against itself? Indian insecurities are subjective and a result of its own megalomania. The Indian media has claimed that internal briefings highlight worries about Pakistan's engagement with Bangladeshi political parties like the BNP and the Jamaat Islami, which have historically anti India leanings. No wonder that the Indian media saw Dar's visit with a lot of alarm, portraying it as a rattling development and a sign of shifting alliances in the region. As stated earlier, the Indian insecurities are self inflicted. They are the result of its failed attempt to dominate the region and isolate Pakistan. On both fronts, New Delhi has been unsuccessful. The Indian media resorted to the same old propaganda themes of the alleged covert funding to anti India militants and the potential defense cooperation between Pakistan and Bangladesh. India's organizer weekly came up with a ridiculous claim that the improved relation between Islamabad and Dhaka remains a dangerous attempt to reverse engineer history and undermine Bangladesh independence. The Indian media coverage, especially the of Hindu and the Economic Times, invoked the 1971 civil war, noting Bangladesh demand for a Pakistan apology during talks. And they tried to highlight a contradiction that Pakistan's emphasis was on a forward-looking approach. The Indian media claimed how 1971 still haunts the discussions and attempted to position India as the guardian of the regional stability. But unfortunately, none of the neighboring countries see India as a guardian and remain wary of its hegemonistic designs. Some Indian commentators describe India as fuming from the sidelines and describe Dar's visit as flipping South Asia's chessboard and undermining India's post 1971 alliances. For example, India today saw it as a flux in power balance and described Dhaka's pivot toward Islamabad as retaliation against India's sheltering of Hasina. Overall, the Indian media's tone remained hysteric, calling the cooperation between Islamabad and Dhaka anti-India as it urged Bangladesh to stand against the so-called historical revisionism. The growing defense and security ties between Pakistan and Bangladesh is also making India uneasy. In a nutshell, the Indian government and media perceive Islamabad and Dhaka's closeness as a Pakistani effort to encircle India geopolitically. We all know that India's diplomatic relations with Bangladesh suffered a setback following the ouster of Hasina Wajid. Bangladesh interim government has adopted a critical stance towards India in line with the aspirations of the vast majority of Bangladeshis who accuse New Delhi of interference in their domestic affairs, harboring anti-Bangladesh elements and targeting the Muslim minority in India. This led to the escalating tensions, including border disputes, trade disruptions, and mutual allegations of minority persecution. As a result, Bangladesh's new government is resetting foreign policy by moving away from the over-dependence on India. Instead, it is building ties with Pakistan and China. International observers term tensions with Bangladesh as New Delhi's biggest political, diplomatic, and strategic defeat, echoing broader challenges in South Asia where neighbors like Myanmar and Pakistan all enjoy close relations with China. India's approach has been criticized for several missteps, including over-reliance on a single leader, Hasina Wajid. It is a classic example of a bigger state putting all its eggs in one basket in the form of investing in one individual, one family, a coterie, or a political party in its bid to expand influence and interest in a smaller country. This is done at the cost of people-to-people relation and taking the smaller neighbor as a client state, undermining its sovereignty. China's diplomacy stands in stark contrast. For example, China has maintained good relations with each and every government in Pakistan, whether it is an elected government or a military one. China's popularity cut across all the political and ideological divide in Pakistan. The ruling parties and the opposition, they both see China as a friend who never interferes in their domestic politics. On the other hand, Indian diplomacy is crude, interfering and hegemonistic. Experts in Bangladesh say that India has alienated the Bangladeshi people. Indian analysts also admit this and believe that it echoes the past mistakes committed in Sri Lanka and Maldives, where regime changes expose India's limited leverage. The poor performance of the Indian intelligence agencies is also being questioned. The Indian intelligence misread the scale of protests in Bangladesh and failed to foresee Hasina's rapid downfall. This is being dubbed as an intelligence failure by independent Indian media. Bangladeshi media argues that India took Bangladesh for granted and assumed that an eternal gratitude from Bangladeshis for its role in the 1971 war. India's ties with Bangladesh have also suffered because of the disputes over shared rivers. Incidents like the unannounced opening of the Dumbar Dam in 2024 caused floods in Bangladesh were dubbed as water terrorism by critics in Bangladesh. India is also resorting more or less to the similar kind of tactics against Pakistan. The Indian security forces regularly kill Bangladeshi civilians for their alleged attempt to illegally cross the borders. The BJP government's policy to expel Bengali Muslims from its part of Bengal has also become a major flashpoint. The most recent issue widening the gulf between India and Bangladesh is New Delhi's decision to provide shelter to Hasina and allowing dissidents to carry out anti-Bangladesh activity from its soil. Bangladeshi government stands justified in demanding Hasina's expulsion and a complete halt to the entire Dhaka activities conducted by the Awami League from the Indian soil. These issues fuel distress. They also result in incidents like attacks on diplomatic missions and border confrontations over fencing or temple construction, strengthening India's image as a regional bully, especially among the Bangladeshi youth. In contrast, China has ramped up infrastructure investment, pulling Bangladesh closer and effectively neutralizing New Delhi's neighborhood first policy. In an interesting twist, which echoes tensions with Pakistan, India's relation with Bangladesh now also involved acquisition of minority persecution, straining ties further. Broader South Asian turmoil of, for example, Myanmar civil war amplifies this, helping China to gain ground. Bangladeshi sources argue that New Delhi's bullying tactics have permanently eroded trust in India. Globally, it highlights India's challenge in balancing its so-called greater power ambition with regional stability. Bangladesh grievances against India stem from a range of historical, political, economic and security issues. These tensions have led to accusations of interference, mistrust and unequal relations. Political interference and support for authoritarian regime has emerged as the number one issue in recent years. Bangladesh accuses India of meddling in its internal affairs and supporting Hasina's Awami League government for 15 long years despite its gross human rights abuses and corruption. Now, by granting political asylum to Hasina and allowing anti-Bangladesh activities from its soil, India has provided another excuse and reason to fan anti-India feeling among Bangladeshis. But this is not all. Bangladesh complains of unfair trade practices, including India's restriction on imports and transshipment facilities, which allows India to benefit more from bilateral trade. Another big issue is the strict Indian visa policies for Bangladeshis, coupled with deportation and the expulsion of ethnic Bengali Muslims. They are seen as discriminatory and fuel anti-India sentiment. The way forward for Pakistan and Bangladesh is not to strengthen their ties in reaction to India. Instead, they should do it for mutual benefit of their people. Both countries have a lot in common, from religion to history. They provide the basis for building a strong common bond on equal footing. We are indeed two countries, but can stand as one for progress, peace, and development. That's my perspective. What's yours? Drop a comment below and let's keep the dialogue moving.